Welcome to our video set on optimizing your PC. In this video, we'll look at stopping programs from running automatically. Another way for speeding up your computer and freeing up more memory and more processing power for what's really important is by stopping programs from starting automatically. And there are different ways you can do this. Sometimes the programs that start automatically appear in the taskbar. So again, in the previous video, I touched on how to remove unnecessary items from the taskbar. If you do that, that stops a lot of programs from starting automatically. And I demonstrated in the last video that you can access QuickTime here. But for some software, that doesn't automatically appear in the control panel, so you have to access the software through your Start menu and then go into Options. There's generally an Options screen somewhere in the software menus, and then you can often choose whether it starts automatically or not. And if you don't really use it at all, you might as well get rid of it. So within the control panel, you can go to Add or Remove Programs, and you can uninstall certain software quite easily that way. So those are several ways that you can deal with software that starts automatically. And in the previous video, I gave the example of BitTorrent. The last time I checked, BitTorrent does start automatically by default. And it's quite a heavy piece of software. What I mean by heavy is that it takes a lot of resources. It takes quite a lot of memory. It accesses your hard drive constantly. I find that it's quite an intrusive piece of software. It doesn't really sit in the background. It's sharing your hard drive and doing a lot of things. And unless you really want to share files around the clock, which I don't recommend for a lot of reasons, then you can stop or start it automatically or even remove it entirely if you don't use it much. So you would need to go into BitTorrent, go to the Options screen, and prevent it from starting automatically. Another way to stop certain programs from starting automatically is to go to the Start menu, All Programs, and Startup Group. And I have just one item in the Startup group, Acrobat Assistant, which works with the full version of Adobe Acrobat to make converting Word documents into PDFs quite easy. I decided to leave that because I find it very useful and I use it quite a bit. But a lot of software automatically puts itself in the Startup group here, and therefore starts up automatically whenever you boot up Windows, and you may not want that. So check this group here, and actually Microsoft Office does it, just to help making loading Microsoft Word or Excel that much faster. And I really don't use Word enough to need it to load 5 or 10 seconds faster. And again, it just takes up more memory. Anything that's in the Startup group. So if you want to get rid of it, you can just put your mouse over the item, right-click, and choose Delete. But I'm going to leave that in this instance, so I'll just click away. Okay, those are several ways to stop software from starting automatically. Finally, this is quite an advanced way, so you may want to tread carefully here, or perhaps ask someone who's very experienced with Windows to help you with this. But if you go into Administrative Tools in Control Panel and Services, and OK, in the Services screen, it tells you about a lot of stuff which is running in the background in Windows. And a lot of this is very important, but some of it isn't so important. For example, here, iPod service. And actually, if we pull the description column over, iPod hardware management services. I don't use my iPod with my computer, so I don't think that would be massively important for me. And I would probably want to do some research on Google just to double check to make sure it's not going to cause any problems for me before disabling it. And you may wish to do that yourself before disabling any of these. So do your research, make sure what you want to disable isn't particularly important to Windows, and then you can just right-click on it, and you can choose Stop. And if you choose Properties, Startup Type, Manual. But a lot of these have the startup type set at Automatic, so you may wish to disable it, for example, to stop it from starting up automatically. But do use this area of Windows carefully, because a lot of services here are vital to Windows working properly. And if you disable some of these vital areas, it could cause some very unexpected problems with Windows. So do your research before you start turning things off in this screen. So all those tips taken together can help stop certain software from running, which isn't particularly useful for you and takes more memory and processing time away from functions that you want your computer memory and processing time to be used for. And as you can see, it's quite straightforward to stop certain software from starting automatically, and it can make quite a dramatic difference to how well and quickly Windows runs.